Straight ahead on CCX News, a look back at a home foreclosure crisis, where Brooklyn Park was and where it is today. Plus, a Super Bowl weekend celebration voted down in Maple Grove, and the reason for the Roundabouts in Golden Valley. CCX News starts right now. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. Brooklyn Park was one of the hardest hit cities during the foreclosure crisis that started in 2007 and peaked in 2010.
But now things have turned around. SONYA GOINS shows us what this could mean for the city as a whole.
Some of these houses were just left vacant for years.
2008 was not pretty. The city says it wasn't uncommon to see foreclosure signs scattered throughout the city of Brooklyn Park. Sometimes there were several foreclosures on the same street.
Neighborhoods were being destroyed by this blight.
But now there's been a shift, and there aren't as many homes being given back to the bank. In fact, the city's at a 13-year low for foreclosures.
So 86 last year, from a high of about 1,009. So big changes, lots of progress. I mean, obviously it's the macro effect going on, but a lot of things that we've been trying to do as well to deal with the after effects.
Besides the robust economy, city officials say there are a number of reasons for the falling foreclosure numbers. In the past, the city would fine banks if they didn't keep vacant homes up to par.
Sometimes they'd own 200 houses and they would just never show up to mow the lawn, do stuff, so we started to fine the heck out of them.
Brooklyn Park also used federal and city funds to rehab foreclosed homes that private investors weren't taking care of.
We've done 195 since 2009, and these are full top to bottom rehabs, taking the worst houses on the block that were sitting vacant, and then selling them to new homeowners.
Foreclosure prevention and counseling programs, like the ones offered at Community Action Partnership of Hennepin County, also help to keep people in their homes. Brooklyn Park is putting some of its foreclosure programs on ice. Instead, officials are considering redirecting some of those funds into programs that would give homeowners some cold hard cash to fix up their homes.
Which means they're able to put more money into fixing up their homes. They're able to feel more secure, and you see less turnover in these neighborhoods, which really helps with neighborhood cohesion and stability.
I think we're really going to look at like restoration and renovations.
Brooklyn Park officials say they're seeing a high level of neighborhood stability, and that's a win-win for everyone.
It's a good story. We were one of the worst hit by the foreclosure crisis. Now we're recovered quite well.
In Brooklyn Park, SONYA GOINS, CCX News.
After dozens of drug overdoses blamed on synthetic marijuana, court records show police tried to catch the dealer by raiding a Brooklyn Center hotel he was believed to be staying at. The hotel on James Avenue was raided last week following a police tip. It didn't net an arrest, and it's unclear what was seized from the suspect's hotel room. Authorities believe the suspect is responsible for about 40 overdoses that sent people to HCMC. None of the cases was fatal.
A warm summer day as opposed to a cold winter's night. That is the preference of the Maple Grove City Council, which voted to deny a plan for a concert the Saturday night before the February Super Bowl. The so-called Big Game Bash would have been held under a heated tent at Central Park. The city would have worked with a local music promoter for the event. However, the City Council felt it would be too expensive, especially if the city had to cancel due to bad winter weather. That would have left the city on the hook for about $90,000.
I think with all the unknowns, which you have just told us some of them, I think this idea for maybe this summer thing might be a good thing.
Some city council members also heard from constituents who say they preferred a summer concert over a winter one.
In Crystal, a long-awaited project to silence train horns is underway, and that tops our look inside City Hall. Construction work has begun at two intersections at Douglas Drive and West Broadway, where trains cross with their horns blowing. Crews are building special medians. New turn restrictions will also be put in place. The horns should be quiet by the end of November. And Crystal is also recruiting civic-minded people to serve on city boards and commissions. The city is taking applications through the end of the month for help with the Environmental Quality Commission, the Parks and Recreation Commission, and others. And you can learn more by calling City Hall at 531-1131. Well, construction on Golden Valley's Douglas Drive is nearing completion, and once it's all said and done, drivers will notice some significant changes.
As Delane Cleveland reports, Golden Valley has taken a page out of European traffic control in an effort to improve safety.
Construction has been a common sight along Douglas Drive the past couple of years.
It was an old roadway that was in poor condition. We lacked capacity to accommodate the existing traffic at a number of points.
Now, after 2 years and almost $20 million, city engineer Jeff Oliver says work on Douglas Drive is nearly finished.
We're scheduled to be complete all the way to Highway 55, including new signal system at 55 in Douglas by Thanksgiving.
But when you approach the intersection of Douglas Drive and Golden Valley Road, you'll notice there isn't a signal system. Instead, Golden Valley opted for a roundabout, the city's second following the one near the Sandberg Learning Center.
I think they're great.
Marion Maynard lives right down the street.
When they're first operating and people come up to them, oftentimes they'll stop. And, you know, what am I supposed to do? How do I make a left-hand turn when I have to go right and all this?
All good questions that drivers will have to figure out.
Well, there's two primary reasons for replacing the signal system with a roundabout. First is that it has higher traffic capacity. Because you only have to yield when there's another vehicle in the roundabout, otherwise you're free to enter.
The second reason, Oliver says, is that roundabouts reduce crashes.
Consistent with other places, we're pretty confident that the crash rates will go down and those that do occur are not nearly as severe.
In Golden Valley, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
Meantime, starting on Thursday, Douglas Drive will close between Duluth Street and Golden Valley Road to pave the final layer of asphalt. Still ahead, our school spotlight takes us to a former Brooklyn Park Junior High turned middle school.
Plus, the Cooper football team is looking to complete an undefeated regular season. That's in sports.
But first, another beautiful fall day on Wednesday, 70s and sunshine. We'll be right back.
Today's school spotlight takes us to one of the 4 middle schools in the Osseo district.
When it first opened in 1970 in Brooklyn Park, Northview was a junior high. Today, it's a middle school, educating students from around the world.
This actually, if you go around that corner, my science class was on that side.
At Northview Middle School, Principal Diana Bledsoe walks the halls with a unique perspective.
Once you're a knight, you're always a knight.
In the early 1990s, Principal Bledsoe was a student here. Back then, the student population looked very different.
I was probably, as a black female, I was probably one of maybe 20. And right now we are 90% students of color from a variety of backgrounds.
Today, Northview Middle School is one of the most diverse schools in Minnesota. Many of the 672 students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grades bring an international flavor to the school with heritage from Africa, Asia, and Central America.
Well, you have a student body that has a background from across the world. It is incredibly important to make sure that they see themselves in the curriculum.
At this school, honoring and incorporating student voice and culture is a big deal.
And this is about a student whose father really wants him to be a basketball star. An African-American dad who wants his son to be a basketball star, and he's just not into basketball at all.
Library media specialist Anna Teeple works to bring in new books that better reflect her students' lives.
People have commented when they come to Northview, they see our students walking around with books. Kids have them in their arms, and they check out, and they're excited. And I did have a student come up to the desk and say, actually voiced, I'm checking these books out because there are pictures of me. They look like me.
Practice. Talk with your table.
This school doesn't shy away from important conversations about race and equity.
What do those things look like?
For staff, that means embracing what they don't know and learning from it.
I was shocked and a little bit angry that I didn't know all of these things that I feel like I should have known. And so now I just keep digging and learning and continue to grow and learn as a teacher, and that's exciting.
Northview dad Keith Venus makes a point of spending a day in the school several times a year.
I've come to the school, walked through classes with my kids, and it's very inviting that staff is awesome.
And that's how you'll know.
What he likes best is how his daughter is treated and how she's grown into an AB student even while she learns with dyslexia.
They encourage her, and that's what I like. I love that because I don't want her to like use it as a crutch.
And that
Principal Bledsoe has walked in her students' shoes.
knowing that I went here and their teacher went here and the hall monitor went here makes them think that, all right, I can potentially be the principal, the teacher, or in that school community.
There's a community of Northview Knights, past and present here, and there's an understanding they're all in it together.
It's all about us understanding that we are a school community and that we rise and fall together.
Each year, Northview students take on community service projects too, and in September, students made blankets for victims of Hurricane Harvey. Still ahead, prime time for pumpkin picking.
But first, a dominant Cooper football team faces a good opponent this week. Jay Wilcox has the details next in sports.
I'm Jay Wilcox with sports. Last week, the Wayzata girls tennis team qualified for the state tournament. Today, spots in the singles and doubles part of the state tourney were on the line in Section 5AA. In the singles final, Maple Grove 8th grader Zoe Adkins beat Simona Potachkova of Buffalo for the championship after Potachkova won a grueling semifinal over Wayzata Sam Stevenson. It was Wayzata versus Wayzata in the doubles final. Grace Jacobson and Sydney Stern beat teammates Lauren Lowe and Mia Zuki in the championship match. Lowe and Zuki then beat a Champlain Park duo for true second to join Jacobson and Stern in the state tournament. It's a short week for prep football teams in the area with Wednesday night games. The Cooper Hawks are having a great year and they're ready for what should be a good test on Wednesday night. Cooper is unbeaten and it's a dominant 7-0. They've allowed just 56 points all season while averaging 41.5 themselves. Only Armstrong, a Class 6A team, has given them a real test. This week the Hawks meet Irondale in a game for the championship of the Suburban Gold Sub-District.
Every week is really exciting. This week makes it a little more exciting playing Irondale, and it's kind of like a conference championship game. They're coming in here and we're coming in, and kind of the winner becomes conference champs.
We haven't had a conference championship since I've been here. We got to win this game to be conference champs, even though we're 7-0 right now because of the past. So really, when we talk about 1-0, this really means a lot to us because going 1-0 will accomplish our first goal, which is conference champs.
With the playoffs looming, the Hawks actually could use a closer game that requires starters to play all 4 quarters.
Yeah, coach has been really pressing us about that we have to come out all quarters and play football. So this week, we're hoping that we do that.
Typically, if our kids have to play the entire game, that means that it's a very competitive in terms of the score is not where we want it to be. We prepare for our kids to play all 4 quarters, and so if that has to happen, that's why we're practicing with the intensity that we still do at 2 months into practice.
Cooper's done very well with the go 1-0 this week philosophy, narrowing the focus to one opponent at a time. In the big picture, they also know they're quickly becoming one of the best Cooper football teams ever.
You've got Eric Norby, who's still in our building, who was the head coach here. You got a John Olfke that was the head coach, that's still in our building. You have all that pride and tradition that's here and want to see this team succeed.
Cooper is hungry for a real challenge, and Irondale should provide it Wednesday night. In addition to Cooper Irondale, here's a rundown of the rest of the schedule for Wednesday night for local football teams. Maple Grove plays at Wayzata. That's our CCX TV game. Watch for live coverage just before 7 p.m. Wednesday. In other games, Champlain Park is at Totino Grace. Osseo is at St. Michael Albertville. Armstrong travels to Chaska, and Park Center is at home to face Tartan. Hopkins plays at Coon Rapids. Benilde St. Margaret's hosts Jefferson. Providence Academy is home to take on Fridley. Breck is at Humboldt in an afternoon game. Brooklyn Center hosts Como Park, and in 9-man West Lutheran makes a long road trip to play Cedar Mountain Comfrey. Benilde St. Margaret's also has a chance to finish the regular season unbeaten in football. On this week's Sports Jam show on CCX, we profile the Red Knights' talented 2A starter, Braeden Fitzgerald. Here's John Jacobson with a clip from that story.
Braeden rarely leaves the field. He's a 3-year starter at both offensive guard and linebacker, and is the team's long snapper. Maturity has helped him learn how to stay fresh.
You know how to really manage energy during the game. Instead of like celebrating a ton after plays, you got to tone it back because you know you got a whole game to play and you're going both ways. So you just know how to, handle the game mentally and physically, and just comes in with energy.
Fitzgerald is an all-district player for the defending state Class 4A champion Red Knights. And head coach John Hanks knows he'll always get a great effort from number 62.
You always talk to the kids about playing hard and fast. He does it every single time, whether we're in practice or we're out on the game field. And he makes so many great heady football plays. Last week's a perfect example when he blocked that punt. That was on him. He made the call with our other outside linebacker that he was going to go instead of John. So he's very smart.
You can see the rest of that story and more this week on Sports Jam. It airs through Wednesday at 3:30, 6:30, and 9:30 p.m. here on CCX and online at ccxmedia.org. Plenty of section playoff soccer highlights for you coming up Wednesday at 4 here on CCX News. Mike and Alex, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Jay. On the Hopkins School Board, 3 incumbents are not running for re-election. 5 people are running for those seats.
That includes Fartun Ahmed, who is making her first run for an elected position.
Hi, my name is Fartun Ahmed, and I'm running for Hopkins School Board. I have lived in the Hopkins School District for over 20 years. I've gone through the Hopkins schools, starting from Eisenhower Elementary School, and I'm really excited about this campaign. I'm running for Hopkins School because I was able to receive a world-class education through the Hopkins Public Schools. I was the first person in my family to graduate from high school and then go on to graduate from college and graduate school. The Hopkins schools gave me the opportunity to excel in all areas of my life as a first-generation immigrant student whose parents did not speak English when they were enrolling me at Eisenhower Elementary School in the mid-90s. I believe that every student should have the same opportunity as I did, and that is why I'm running for Hopkins School Board.
And we'll be right back. Well, finally, it's prime pumpkin time.
And there are plenty of pumpkins to choose from at Dean's Farm in Dayton. Thanks to lots of rain and mild temperatures, Dean's has a bountiful crop. The key to finding a good pumpkin is choosing one with a solid stem, no soft spots, and a round shape. Besides pumpkins, Dean's also has other Halloween options.
We've been doing this for about 10 years, and it's grown every year since. We got corn pit, corn maze, hay rides, and then 3 inflatable bounce houses. Pick your own patch.
And listen to this, the Dean's Farm has been around for 150 years and it is entirely family run. What a great time to get out there.
Absolutely.
That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll see you back here again Wednesday starting at 4.